To everybody. Welcome to this Helpful Village release webinar for May 19th. We have already muted everybody in the room to reduce background noise, but you're invited to unmute yourself and ask questions along the way, or also use the chat if you have questions. Christina and Parker are monitoring the chat. And with all that, we're ready to start with the agenda of the day. So pretty typical agenda. So we have the news, we have some reminders, and we have some big news we wanted to share with you today. I'm going to be explaining something about Villages for All. So we're going to get into it right away. There are release improvements for May. There is a demo and then a discussion about the next priority. So usual discussion. So let's start with the news. Here. First news is that we have new villages joining a Helpful Village to the number of 3 this month. We have a new village in Nashoba neighbors, which is Berlin, Lancaster, and Bolton in Massachusetts. Raleigh Village East is a village in Raleigh, North Carolina. And then Foggy Bottom West End is a village inside the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C. So welcome to the new villages. We're happy to have you with us. And, the family is a little bigger today. And now we have other news I wanted to share with you. And it's about a new initiative that we're launching. And it's called basically Villages for All. So we are launching and announcing right now to you, our villages, basically this new initiative. And it's basically a new website that you can already find under Villages for All. And what it is basically concretization of our efforts towards building more diversity and inclusiveness in the village movement. We obviously love what our villages are doing and the village movement, but we think also that there is something we can do towards diversity. So this is what we wanted to explain in this next few slides, and also welcoming your feedback about how can we do this. But so let me tell you why we're doing this. Well, the first reason why we're working on Villages for All is for the next reason. First, the villages have been inventing an outstanding model that is the future of aging, and you already all have seen the picture of my mom on the right of this side, and I wanted the best model for my mom and I think the villages is the best model. Now, I love what villages do, but there's still a lot of people look like my mom that are rare exceptions in villages. Most of the villages that we serve are in some areas and neighborhoods that would not be the neighborhood that my mom is in. And basically, we just want to keep supporting villages that are already helping, and they are great, but we want to try to expand the reach of those villages to other areas. And this is what we want to do with Villages for All. In particular, is something that we need to work on because the numbers don't make sense to me. And you all know that I'm an engineer. I was saying people that look like my mom. Well, you all know that I'm Hispanic, and basically 40% of California are Hispanic. So when we look at our numbers and see the number of Hispanics in California villages, just for an example, because I just lived there and I know what it is, I think the numbers don't make sense to me. So I think we need to be more affirmative and put more energy into increasing diversity of the village model to more communities. Oops, sorry. And then what we want to do also is the other thing that I wanted to say is that, well, first, the villages that are working are great, and also we see great initiatives happening in some areas of the country, in particular in DC and Columbus, where we see that this is happening already, and we thought it was just a good idea to celebrate and highlight these efforts going forward. So basically, I wanted to explain what changes now that we're talking about Villages for All, and basically, I wanted to start saying that Helpful Village stays the same. So we founded Helpful Village, which is a tech company from UC Berkeley, and stays the same. The company stays the same. It's the same team, the same service, the same product, the same technology focus. We're still sponsoring V2V for the conference in the fall. We're working with DC villages and also the Village to Village network on an exciting taxonomy project. So basically, on our day-to-day operations, exact same thing. But basically, what I wanted to say is that there is no change in the way our team uses our time or operates, but the diversity efforts that we were doing before, I think we're going unnoticed because basically they were under this hat of this tech company, and basically they were not visible enough. So basically what we decided to do is coming up with basically a separate nonprofit, which is Villages for All, is a separate entity formally, right? But basically that would take care of these activities related to increasing diversity. So there is a new organization. All the tech activities and the contracts remain the same with Helpful Village, but all the work that we will be doing for diversity will be done through this separate nonprofit organization that is called Villages for All. Okay, let me go back on one thing. So one thing that I wanted to mention, because we had this idea and I was discussing with some people, one thing that I wanted to clarify is that this changes nothing in the way our team operates, right? So we'll still keep working on Helpful Village, with the same time and intensity, but it's just more of a classification of our activities. These diversity things that we were doing before, we have to do them, and they will happening now under this other umbrella. So I would be happy to get your feedback. Now, it's always hard during the Zoom meeting, but just that that if you send me an email or something, I would be interested in what you think. But I also wanted to share with you what I think. And some people would say, well, do we need to do this, right? It's like, why don't you focus on the technology side and the diversity, just don't do it. And I think we don't have a choice. We need to do this. And I wanted to share some of my personal views on this. The first thing that I wanted to say is that I had heard about racism in Europe before I moved to the US, and I experienced it in the USA. And I wanted to make very clear that racism exists everywhere. I think there is racism in Europe, but it just happened to be in a group, socioeconomic or whatever, that made that I was not suffering from it. There is other, immigration coming from Africa and stuff that I'm sure they have plenty of problems. But it was kind of quite new for me when I moved to the USA to experience discrimination on my own skin, which was a huge surprise to me. And so basically, this is something, not a topic that I can ignore. I also learned a lot about this kind of how is racism managed. And one of the things that I learned is that it's an uncomfortable conversation, right? It's really something that is hard to bring up. It's difficult to talk about it on both sides. It's difficult for the person that has gone through discrimination. And it's also difficult for people that are on the other end that have their own problems, and they don't need to talk about, have other problems coming from other people. So that was interesting. But at the same time, it's kind of really hard for me, the fact that, sometimes being discriminated against and basically carry that way without the possibility of doing anything or nothing about it, it was really heavy for me. It has happened to me where I thought I was told something that I thought I would never hear. So that basically what I was doing was not my place, that I was supposed to keep my head down and basically, keep my head down, just shut up and dribble in a way. So, and all those things I've been confronted with, and it's really heavy on me. And I said, well, I cannot live with that. And basically, I need to do something. And basically, this is this initiative where basically I think it's liberating, doing the right thing to promote more diversity for all. Now, the other thing that I wanted to say is that because it's an uncomfortable conversation, and I'm sorry to make you uncomfortable that we're talking about discrimination and racism on this webinar, but we will be focusing on the positive, basically. So we don't want to talk about the difficult aspects of discrimination. I have my own share of experiences there, but we should not be talking about that. So we will be geared toward action and achievement, basically. So what we want to do about diversity is just celebrate when we see things that are going the right way. And this is basically some of the things that are presented in the new website that I said before that you can go in and visit. So if you go to villagesforall.org, is a website of our new nonprofit, and we celebrate some of the success stories that we have seen. One of the success stories is a new village that we are collaborating with. It's called Kingdom Care Senior Village in Washington, D.C. And basically, they are serving a community with a diverse background, and we are very happy to work with them, and that makes us very happy. Not only in DC, we see that happening also in Columbus, Ohio. We have done other efforts translating the software into Spanish. There are other things that are exciting. So basically, all these things that we think are having a positive impact towards diversity is some things that we'll be celebrating and doing on the Villages for All website. The other thing that I wanted to say is that, I mean, we are part of this because it's part of our core values. So Helpful Village is a supporter of Villages for All, which is a separate entity. And I think we're in this all together. So I know there are many villages across the country that are doing their fair share to promote, diversity within their own communities and their local actions. And we think that is great. So if there is any chance we can help you achieve or celebrate your success in your own individual villages, that's great. And then if we can work together towards this mission, is something that we would be super proud to do. So just wanted to make this announcement about this new effort and this new organization and nonprofit that is called Villages for All. And then, we hope to collaborate with you and move this forward. Okay, and that's it for this separate activity. And with this, we're going to come now to a more classical Helpful Village webinar, which is with a set of reminders, and then also the new features and the new demo, etc. So basically, if we go quickly with the reminders, you see here a couple of links that you already know. There is a V2V hosted webinar on May 26th. That's Wednesday of next week, which is a Q&A webinar. You can send the questions to Gary. I'm going to be sharing his email address in a minute. And here there are a few links about the Helpful Village Training Docs Guide, which is a super important document to learn about Helpful Village. There is the Help Center, where there are many answers, a link to Slack, and the link to submit improvement ideas are on this slide. This is the email address you can use to send the question for next week's webinar. So this will go to our national coordinator, Gary Frankel. And if you send these emails to hvusers@v2vnetwork.org, basically he will put the questions together and we'll work with Gary to basically, prepare the answers and come up with the best answers possible for next week. This is also a reminder about what is a training docs guide. A training docs guide basically is a table of contents. It describes how all the training information is organized. You have the link there. And then the Help Center, which is a separate website, which is an interactive database with all the content, all the training articles are in that page that you already know. These are the different categories. This is how the training docs guide is organized with different phases and different modules and operations your village is doing. So these are also a quick reminder. This is the Help Center. And you can submit your requests on the Help Center that will go straight to our support team. Just a quick reminder also that you can send your tickets when you see a bug or a task or something that you need help with our team. You can go to support.helpfulvillage.com. If it's an improvement idea, it's important that you go to ask.helpfulvillage.com because we need to take care of the urgent matters and bugs before we can think about adding new features. These are also some news. Essentially, Christina has been working on new training documents and articles. There are new 10 Help Center articles and 2 other articles have been updated. Basically, these are the names of the articles that were added. How does safe service clearance work, which is a major feature we introduced last week. How to edit a volunteer service group, etc. So this is a list of documents that are new or edited. So thank you, Christina, for working on those. Just a quick reminder also that there is a yoga event that is possible to add to your calendar if you talk to our team. And now we're coming to the new features of this month. What did we add? And as we announced in our previous webinar, the main focus was working on new templates and basically new functionality to have kind of prettier websites and also websites that work better between the desktop and the mobile application. So let's see that. So basically, we have added some new templates and web elements. I'm gonna show all of this during the demo later today. So this is just a list. So basically different web elements, there are different templates, there are footer and header and kind of different other things that I'll be showing in a demo later today. So stay tuned. And these are the release notes. These are other fixes and or small features that we added this month. One of the things that happened this month is that Google changed the Recaptcha settings, which is this detector from Google to see what is a robot or not a robot or something like that. So we just needed to adapt that, and now it's all good again. We have added other fields to one of the reports. So we received feedback from one of the villages saying that we would need kind of the email address and the phone number, contact information for the report that goes, you know, when you export the people that are in a given group. So those fields were added to that report. So that's pretty simple. Okay, this is gonna ask you for you know, your concentration for 2 minutes, because I'll be showing this more later. But here is an explanation of how this works. So we were discussing last week, and we will be discussing today about web templates, right? So web templates is kind of this code that you can use for your web pages. And now in the code that I will show the demo later, we have two different ways to use these templates. One is the copy feature, and the other one is the include feature, okay? And you can choose whatever makes more sense when you're building your website. Sometimes the copy feature makes more sense. Sometimes the include feature makes more sense. But I just added these two drawings here to show you what's the difference in both of them. So in both cases, right, you go to settings, web templates, and then you create a web template, which is kind of this other separate element, right? This is the orange element that you see on the right of both things. And then when you have your template ready, or you use one of the helpful village templates that we make available to your village, then you want to go to one of your editable pages. Also, you can do it on your email messenger, but basically any of your HTML pages. And when you're in that editable page, you can insert that template. And when you're inserting that template, the system is going to ask you if you want to insert it as a copy or if you want to insert it as an include, right? So the two words are a little complicated. So I try to explain with the drawing here. So if we start with copy, what happens is that basically if you want to insert the template as a copy, what we're going to do is we're going to take the code of the template that you had built separately, right? And we're going to add it to the page, right? So we are replicating or copying the template, that code into the page. So for example, if you want to have this structure with the 3 pretty columns and then you want to change the pictures, well, then, you know, you will be editing and changing that code. So you need to duplicate it. So in that case, it makes more sense to copy it, right? Whereas if you add it as an include, what happens is that the code of the template is not added to that page. It's not replicated. It's just, we're just going to go at the moment of showing that page. We're just going to get that code and then include it into the page, right? So, but it's not a copy. This is a good example is a footer. I think a footer, it makes more sense to have it as an include template, because if you need to change the, you know, the email address or the phone number, you will only change it once and it will automatically be visible in the right way in all the pages that include that template, okay? So hopefully I was hoping that these explanations would help you understand the difference between, you know, adding a template as a copy and adding a template as an include. If you have questions about this, I will obviously be happy to discuss more of this at the webinar later today. I mean, at the demo, during the demo today. Okay, so we're back to reports. So basically, we just added some new columns. We had a village that was running a very successful event, actually, and they were selling tickets for that event. And basically, we noticed that we were missing some columns in the report that allows you to export the participants at that event. And basically, if you have sold the tickets, now that report is going to tell you what tickets were sold, because you can have VIP tickets, individual or member tickets, etc. So we have more information in that report. There's another one is that we added this new feature that we discussed last month at the webinar. So the has safe service clearance. So we had added into the website, but it was not on the report. Now it's in the report where basically we're going to tell you if this person has been cleared are not cleared. By the way, I want to make another clarification. When we did the webinar last month, we had initially called this feature something like is health training required, right? But basically, we just, from feedback with other villages, we just the same feature, just change the name into safe service clearance, because it can be health training. In some other cases, it can be vaccination, right? If your village decides that the service clearance is to be vaccinated, it's your own decision, and basically that's your standard for your village. Well, then you can choose for which volunteers are cleared for service or not, and you don't need to tell us what your standards are. But you can choose the standard you want. So
Manuel, this is Carol. So is that just for volunteers, or is that also available for members?
Yeah, so at this time it's for volunteers, and also it's attached to the service request. So the service request. So each service request, you can say if it needs safe service clearance or not, and you can define it also on the volunteer activity. So for example, imagine that you have one of your volunteer activities that you call home visit, right, or whatever. And then that you can define that checkbox saying, yeah, the home visits require safe service clearance in our village. And then from then on, every time you create a new service request of that type, it will require the safe service clearance. And then for the service requests that require safe service clearance, those are only visible to the volunteers that are themselves also cleared for service. I can show this in the demo if you want. Because yeah, but now to answer your question, is like we don't have the checkbox for the member.
That would be helpful.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's good feedback. It's interesting. So we're gonna think about that. I definitely, we're very interested in the reopening of activities post pandemic, and then how to make that safe. So I find the idea of the members themselves being cleared interesting. So we'll probably do something about that. And
Manuel.
Yeah.
They are also suggesting it for providers as well on the chat.
Okay.
That makes sense as well.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So thank you for the feedback. Yeah, we will think about that.
Lynn, I have a question.
Hi, Lynn.
Is this required? Is this going to show up, or do we choose to activate it?
So it's not required. So it's an option, right? So if you want to designate some volunteer services that require this, well, then they're required. But if you don't activate this requirement, well, then the services are still visible. You can keep doing your business as usual. Yeah. So it's an additional option if you want to add kind of additional clearance. It's a great question, Lynn. Thank you.
Manuel, this is Sheila. In our village, the safe service clearance is actually sometimes assigned to the member. They don't want someone in their house that isn't, say, vaccinated. So there's another reason that maybe for the member it would be good.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. So we could, I mean, obviously adding the checkbox is very easy. And then there is a little bit of code, but that I mean, my first thought is that it doesn't look all that complicated. So I'm quite optimistic we can get that done pretty quickly, and I think it's important. So thank you for the feedback. That's awesome.
I have one more comment. This is Margie.
Hi, Margie.
Hi. For members, it would be good because right now our service coordinators ask the member when they call in with a service request, have you had your vaccination?
Yeah.
If it's marked on their record, then you don't have to ask them every time they call.
Yeah. No, you're right. I like that. No, I'm telling you all your, first, we like when there is a request that comes from multiple villages, and it makes a lot of sense. So message received, I think it makes a lot of sense. So we'll go for it. It's something I think we can do pretty quickly. It doesn't seem too complicated. Cool, thank you. Great feedback. Okay, let's go back to the slides. We have some more features. Okay, that one was interesting also. We added another column. We keep adding columns to these reports, but basically there is this column that you knew already. Is like, has this person ever logged into Helpful Village? That I can explain. That column was there before. But I can explain it. Basically, what it tells you is if this person in the database, they have basically chosen a their password and actually logged into Helpful Village. So it's not only that they have been invited, but they actually went in and logged in. So it's a yes or no. So basically, it's a way for you to know is that this member or volunteer or something has ever logged into the platform, or is if they had trouble getting their their password set up, etc. And then basically you can send a volunteer or do something. Now that column existed before, but just wanted to explain it again because I know some people had questions. And then
is there a way to see who's logged in or not without running the report?
So 2 seconds. No, we don't. We're not displaying it, but we could. So it's a good point. And the other thing that I want to say is that, yeah, no, I don't think it's showing. It's only in the report, but we can. I'm gonna think to see if we can put it somewhere interactively, because you're right, Carol. Like pulling the whole report for only one seems a little bit too heavy. So that's a good point. And then I wanted also to explain the other column on this report. Is basically the date at which this person was added to the database. Okay, so if this new user just registered for an event last week and it was not existing before, well, then you will know that they were added to Helpful Villages last week. But if it's a person that was created 4 years ago or 5 years ago, we're going to give you the date they were initially created. So that's also on the report. And Carol, before you ask, I think it may be a good idea to put it also in the, on the interactive version too. So,
Manuel?
Yes.
If you do add that so you can see it in a profile, it would also be great if we could see if the invitation had been sent. Because right now, like I have people ask me, well, did you send them an invitation? And if they don't log in, there's no way of knowing if they were sent an invitation. Okay,
cool. Perfect. Yeah, thank you, Mary Cruz. Good feedback.
Yeah, like maybe in the activity report or tab.
Yeah, I was going to say that, yes. If it only showed up on the activity report, because I found myself going to look and those aren't recorded, so we can verify.
Okay, cool. Chris, can you make a note of that? Because I'm just not taking notes at this point.
Yes, and don't worry, I'm taking notes of everything.
Okay, next improvement, village board report. Oh yeah, so basically we're working on the board report, and these reports we love. It's basically when you go to reports and then there's this board report. And we noticed, actually we didn't notice, like some villages gave us the feedback about some numbers that needed to be reviewed. I think that was actually Beitu sound. And that was great. So I think we were counting, I don't know, members in one of the tables that one of the conditions was not right, and then now we fixed that, so that's good. Now I can read this. So it's now the total matches with the number of completed services. The other thing that, yeah, and then we added another column to the attendees of events. So basically we're showing the total count of, the head count of event participants that we were not showing before. And this is basically showing here. It's like the same sentence. It was hard to read before. It's easier to understand here. Is that in the first calculation that we were doing of this report, the board report that you can all print, basically we were counting the services canceled as lowering the fulfillment rate. Right, and that was sad because if a member cancels, that's not a problem of the village. You see what I'm saying? It's like it's not a mess of the village. So the fulfillment rate should still be 100%. If we got all those that were requested not canceled, were all completed. Okay. And then this is the other column that we added. Sometimes an image is worth 1,000 words, where basically we're describing the events of the village. And basically we're saying number of events of each category, the average attendance, but we didn't have that middle column here, which was the total attendance. So we're just adding another column to the report. So that's also a good addition there. We added a small feature here. This is something I know we did with Marine Villages, which is when you're adding trips for your service requests, basically you now have the possibility to add the zip code and state, because for some reason one of the volunteers got confused going from point A to point B, and now we can have more precision entering the address you're going to or coming from. Okay, great. So here we have a moment for questions, or I have the demo. So if someone has a question, maybe I can answer about some of these new features, or if you want to go to the demo and answer the questions later, we can do that too.
There's a question about donations, Manuel, about the donation letter, so that if you can show that on the demo as well.
Okay, cool. Yes, let's start there.
Thank you.
Demo here. Actually, I was a little bit optimistic. Demo helpful village here. So if you go to admin settings, reports, and then under reports is reporting docs. And then this is the village board report that I was mentioning before. So I'm not going to open, but just that you know, and this is the one-pager report. So we had some fixes in there. Chris, you're talking about donations. So if you go still at the bottom of this one, this is a print report. So these are spreadsheet reports of the donations and payments. And this one are interactive reports of donations and payments. So if you take one of the donations here, it's going to show me the list of donations. And then from here, I see all the donations that we had in the demo site. And basically, I can see the details of one of these donations. And from each one of the donations, you can do two things. I mean, edit the donation, but basically you can do prepare a receipt. Actually, what this does is opens the email messenger. Well, let's do it, actually, it's just easier. It opens the email template, and from the email template, you can choose one of the available templates that we have for donation, which is thank you for your donation, and this is gonna prepare an email with different variables. And these different variables are going to say, dear Nicole, because we replace the first name of the person. Thank you very much for your kind donation of the amount. So basically, we're replacing in here the variables on the message you want to say on your thank you message to the donor, and then just send. And so that basically does a thank you message with the language you want, and you can customize that with your EIN and address and stuff like that. But basically, we're putting the variables in here for an email. So that we had before. And there is something that is newer, is that you can do that with email. So this is prepared by receipt that we had that we had before. And the new feature is that you can now download a thank you letter. And this is a Word document you can edit. So this, if you want to send the thank you letter in a snail mail fashion, right? So you can come to this button and click download thank you letter. It basically, as you can see here, downloaded a Word document that I can open. And when it opens the Word document, gonna look in a given way, and it's a Word document. So basically from here, you can it does the same thing. So it's gonna replace the name, the address of the person, the amount of the donation, etc., within a template that you have already kind of, can you put your logo and other things, etc. So it's kind of the same thing we do by email. You can do it with a Word document that you can then print and just put in an envelope and send out, right? So we're just mixing your template with the variables of this specific donation. Now, you're gonna go explain that donation thing. So if you come here, it applies that Word template to that donation. And I want to show you real quick here how to add your template. So if you go to settings,
email. Can you show how to?
It's not email.
It's
email. My brain froze for 2 seconds, but it's not in email. It's a good. Well, actually, you know what? Let's say that Christina was right, and the email template you can add it from here. But the Word template is actually happening in the documents library. So it's here, and then in the documents library, if you go to admin docs, you will find a folder that is Word templates for HV, and then you go into Word templates for HV. You can upload your templates here. So this is the letter that you added. So if you say new document, and you can call it the way you want, right? So basically, thank you, letter, big donor, or something. Whatever template name you want to give there. It's going to go into this current folder, which is the Word template for HV that can be read by the admins. And basically, this is basically when you choose for what HV task is going to be used. So yeah, basically here you say this is where you're matching it with the button. So so if you want to match this one with the button, when you press on the button, this is the template that would apply. And here you upload the Word document, right? That is you do on your computer, and then you attach here, and then you save, and it will be uploaded to the server.
Manuel, there are people asking as well if you can explain how you can set up the Autotask for this template, for an email template when the village gets the donations.
Okay. So we go settings. And then I need to move on to the demo because we have Q&A next week. But basically, if you go to web templates here, sorry, I wanted to do email templates. So it's email templates. And then under email templates, you have, for example, if you take this one, invitation to renew your village membership, if you edit it, you choose a few things. First, you choose the title, and title is important because it will be the title of the email too. Then you choose the category. So if there is an email template about membership, about donations, about providers or something, and then when you choose here, depending on this template category, you have a number of auto tasks that they can apply to. For example, if you want to use this email for the renew notice, or the second renew notice, or the confirmation of membership renewal, or the confirmation of membership monthly payment, or membership application confirmation, you can say that whatever you have under here applies to these automatic tasks. So for example, when 30 days before expiration date, we send the renew notice message automatically if you activate that feature. Well, if you select this one here, this is the template that will be used for that task. So this email template for auto task, here you choose for what task do you want to use this template. Okay, so and now I need to move on because time is running and we definitely need to do the demo of the new web template that we are adding this month. Okay, so here, so this is still demo. We need to wait until this weekend, as we usually do, to deploy these new features to each server, to each village server. But we will make available more templates to your villages, and we have been working on them. Basically, what we do is that we prepare some code that is ready for you to use in your websites. So basically, let me show you how I got here first. So basically, if you go admin settings, if you go under website tab, and then basically here you have web templates. Okay, so if you go under web templates, you have the list of different web templates that are available. You can create your own also, so you can add some more here, clicking new web template. But then Helpful Village is going to make available some that are pre-packaged, basically, that you can use. And I'm going to show them to you. Basically, we're going to provide everybody with a header and a footer. So the footer that we got looks like this. And you can obviously, obviously change it with the name of your village, address, etc. You can remove some stuff, you can add some stuff. It doesn't need to look like this one. You can edit, the templates any way you want. But basically, try to give you some code that is easy to edit. And this will be more visible here on the header, which when I was working on it, I was doing it for one of the villages. So this is the logo of one of the villages. Obviously, I will not use that logo, but basically what we will give you is the code that allows you to put the logo in here, the name, and maybe background color, etc. So basically, for each one of these templates, basically you can, once you receive it and it's there for you, you can come in here and then change. If you want to replace the image and the logo, you can come here, upload the logo for your own village, and customize the email template so that it works for you. If you even want to modify the code, basically we will do some code that is smart on this side. So be careful when you're modifying that code, but you can. The code is open to you, so more power to you. Okay, so this is the header template. Let's keep going. But those are very simple. Now we're gonna get into things that are a little bit more complicated. You have a template, so if you're starting a new page and you want your new page to have 2 columns with the same width or different width, you can start a new page and apply one of these templates. I'm gonna show you this one, but these ones are gonna go fast. So you have template with different width, where basically you have a more dominant left column template width, and then a right column that is like this. Or you have this other template with the same width. So you can choose the style that you prefer. And if you choose these other same width, basically, well, now they have the same width. Now, the other thing that I didn't say is that you probably be thinking like, Manuel went crazy. I mean, we know how to do 2 columns. And I know you know how to do 2 columns, but the magical thing about these new templates that we're doing, how do I see them? Wait. Yeah, because the templates, obviously you don't see the template itself, but basically, okay, stay with me for a second because I want to show you something. So here, right? So this was my template with 2 columns. And some people would say, well, I can do this with a table, right? I put on the left, I put this thing, and on the right, I put this other thing. Well, the problem is that tables are not very good for mobile, right? So if you look at the same page, how it would look on a mobile page, if you use a table, the table is not going to display right on your phone. But if you use the code that we're giving you, right, the code is smart enough so that if there is room for both columns, it's going to display both columns. And if there's not enough room, because this is a simulation of an iPhone 6, 7, or 8, well, then our columns will be smart enough to go one under the other. You see what I'm saying? So even if you think these templates are super basic, actually they're a little smarter than than what one may think. And basically, the template that we provide you, they work well on mobile, which is important these days. Okay, I showed this template, 2 column, different width, same width. There's another template that is pretty simple also, but we wanted to start with a simple template first. Is that you have the possibility to basically have some text on one side and then keep adding text here on your page and then go around one big page of your area here, Napa Valley, California, which is very nice. So basically you can copy this template to one of your pages, replace the picture here, say, okay, nice, but that doesn't look like New Mexico. So I'm gonna upload a new picture. You can always come here and replace the pictures and text and everything. Okay, let's keep going.
One thing on Manuel on this is a good reason for these, why you want to use the copy rather than the include, because you're going to take that and make your own customizations in this location.
Exactly, that's a good point. Yeah, for example, this is a good point. If you're changing whatever we're bringing and you're showing something that is unique to that page, you always want to copy, right? Because it's going to be different for each page. If you're using something that should be the same in all pages, like a footer or a header, this would be more of an include, so that if you change your phone number, you don't need to change 20 pages, you just change it here. So it's a good point, right? Okay, let me keep going because we have kind of got a number of these different graphic elements. We did this one, a template with one peak floated, top right, and text around it. The language is a little bit complicated, but is what you saw here for Napa. Okay, the next one is web element, 3 columns with pictures. Now, yeah, I wanted to say a word about the names, right? Because we were trying to do some sort of classification of each one of these web templates. Some of them are real templates, kind of full page templates, right? If you have a 2 column or 3 column, I don't know, it's kind of how the whole page would work. And then some of these things, we call them web elements, which is kind of actually the same thing. It's actually HTML code that you can include, but it's something that are not necessarily the entire page. For example, here is a good example. It's a Facebook feed. Well, the Facebook feed is not the design for the whole page. It's something that you can include in some of your pages. We call them an element, would be kind of a smaller subset you can use in your page. In the same way, anytime in your page, if you want to add an element with 3 columns with pictures, you can add this other web element. If you go here, this one looks like this, and I think you had already seen this one, where basically you have kind of a picture, kind of a name, and a description below. So this is kind of a good template that would apply if you want to describe about your board members, your staff, or something like that. This one is one that could apply. Same thing that I showed before. This page is adaptable to the mobile version, so it will look good on the web. This one is a Facebook feed, where basically you can include this web element, and basically anywhere in your page you can add basically the Facebook feed with the activity that is showing on your Facebook page. You need to edit this one. Here it says Helpful Village, but if you put the name of your village here, it will show your own page. Okay, we have more web elements. We have the Facebook feed we did. I added this one because this one is funny. It's a web element that is a PDF document with image. So basically what I did with this one is here. Just added an image of a PDF document, because we get these questions sometimes saying, oh, how can I attach a PDF document to my page? And there's no such thing as attaching to a page. But basically what we will recommend people they do is that on their pages, they go insert, and they insert this web element, which is a PDF document with an image. So it will show the image. And then basically here on the image, you just need to go to the link. And on the link, you need to change where is this pointing to. So basically where can I, basically where does the page find the document? So you need to upload the document to your document library, and then you can add an image, and that image is linking to the document. So basically the people on that page, when they click on that image, that they will download the document. Okay, now I have two more. The web element is a pick left, text right, pick text. So this is another template that allows you to put basically a picture, a name, and then on the right-hand side, basically the bio and description of the name of this person, right? I'm gonna, so this is pick left, right? And then there was a text on the right, and there is another one which is pick text, which looks like this. It looks like this. So there is a pick, some text, a pick, some text. Right, so you can explore those options that are made available to you, and if you like them, as we said before, we would create a new page. By the way, that's maybe next thing I should do. If I can go now into admin settings, editable pages, and now on editable pages, I'm gonna go down here. I'm gonna create a new one, and then here I have testing during webinar. And basically the way this works is that you choose here, this is the web editor, right? So first of all, one thing that I like doing here is show blocks. The show blocks shows you actually these dashed lines that are invisible, but it's kind of what is the structure of the page. So here we already have a P. Because the next thing I wanted to do is do insert. And then from the insert is here's where we do insert templates. And then here I choose the templates that I want, right? That are available on this other list that we saw before. And you can choose if you want to do include or if you want to do copy. So basically for the header, I want to do an include actually, because it's like it's going to be the same for all pages. And I save. Okay, so now we have a header on this page. Oh shoot. I'm going to delete it, I think. I'm going to start over. Got stuck. Sorry. Can you try?
Manuel?
Yes.
I haven't done much with the web, so this may be a dumb question, but can you, if you choose that footer, is it automatically going to happen on all your pages, or can you use it only on one page, or choose to use it on
You can use it on multiple pages, but you need to add it to each one of the pages you want to use it on.
Okay.
So basically I'm creating a new page, and here I'm saying, well, I want to add the header here, and then I'm going to add the footer here. Insert template, and then I'm going to add the footer also with an include footer. And then I save. And now we have my page here where I have the header on the top, the footer at the bottom, and then I want to come here and I'm going to insert another template in the middle, which is a copy of, well, wait, so we're saying a copy. Yeah, it's a copy of a template with two columns of the same width. Okay, and then I save this. So we have two columns here. And now here, let's say that I don't like this column. And then from this column, I want to add in that spot another template, which is an include of the Facebook feed. And then I save. And then I save. It almost worked. So you see now it replaced the header here, right? And we have our left column. This, for some reason, I was expecting it to come down here, so I had an issue. And then it added the footer, the header and the footer, right? And then if we wanted to edit the code, we can edit this code here. So edit. It's gonna view. I like this view blocks is interesting because, yeah, you see what happened here? I had this web element Facebook feed didn't come into my right column here. I'm gonna try that again. Insert template, include Facebook feed, save. Okay, now it worked. So it's on the right side. And then here I would need to delete this. Okay, so now we have our last column that we can change. I wanted to change the text, but I forgot. And then on the right-hand side, I added this other feed. I added it twice, right? Because the first time I didn't add it in the right spot, so it came down here. And the second time it came to the right spot. And then we have the footer. So you can compose with any of that. I wanted to show you some of the examples that we have been doing. I know Christina was helping me with, I was doing the code, but she was trying to apply these templates to different villages. And I think I'm happy to show you the website of actually a new village, is Foggy Bottom West End in Village DC. And this page, Christina actually did it on her own. So she's not a programmer or a coder, etc. But just she went in and she was adding the template. In particular, this template that was left peak, right text or something like that, and then added a description for their board. So there's a person on their board with a nice left picture and the description on the right, left picture, description on the right, etc. So yes, I was quite happy to see that Christina, without being a developer, was able to use these web templates and then added the footer here. Now, I'm going to show you another thing about this template that is really important, is how it looks on the mobile phone. So I know it's a little small and you don't see it very well, but basically you can see here how basically the template that we're producing adapts to the fact that this is a small screen, right? So we put the name of, the header they had, the leadership with the pictures, and basically what happens is we're not doing picture left and text right. We're doing picture on top and then the text under it, because there is no room to the right. So, the whole magic of using these web templates is to make them look good, both on the desktop version and on the mobile version. And this works much better than other tables where on table these things don't come down. Okay, so that's one of the templates. I wanted to show you another one that I was working. I wanted to ask you what you think. And actually, this is actually a very nice page from Petaluma, I think. Maricruz is right. And I was kind of experimenting with it, and I was adding 2 other elements, and I wanted to ask you what you think. Because if you like those, I can also add them to the library of web templates. I added kind of this element here, which is some sort of quote. But basically, the interesting thing here is that goes from basically the whole page from left to right, right? And I did 2 of these elements. Most of the other elements that we have are always displaying here in the middle. But basically, I wanted to experiment with giving more flexibility on graphics and basically have a full width element for a quote and a full width element where basically you can have a picture that you can choose, and you can choose this text. And basically, those elements go beyond, basically expand the width of the page. So hopefully, if you like those, just let us know, and then I can add them to the library of web templates.
Manuel, I have a question.
Yes.
Are you going to have a template for adding a button?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yes. Yes.
Okay, because we had to hire somebody to create buttons on our website.
Yeah, no, definitely, I'll do that.
There's a training article where we explain how to add a button. If
yeah.
You check, you will find it on the help center as well.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think both things make sense. I think, Chris, it's good that we have a training article about it, but I think it's also in the same way we added kind of how to add a document image linking to the document, that we have kind of similar thing with which is a button that you can insert from the web elements, and then you can change and customize and stuff. The other thing that I wanted to say that is really important is that Helpful Village has these 16 modules, and then it's service request, membership management. The single hardest module to use is web editing. So is what you saw today. Why is that the hardest? Well, the reason is because people look at the web page in different devices. They look at them on the computer with a large screen. Sometimes they look at on the telephone, and you need to write some code that works in both. So it's like, oh, if there is room, do this, and if there is no room, then do these other things. So, so most of the big companies, they have programmers doing, their websites because they want to be super precise on this code to add the super logic. So if you find it a little bit complicated or hard to use the page and stuff like that, I wanted to tell you that it is a hard topic. It's hard on Helpful Village, and it's hard on any other thing. Some other platforms may seem easier at the beginning, but you go nuts because you don't see the code, and sometimes it looks easy to do one or two things, but they lose their. Just website editing is not an obvious task. I think it's easy to do an easy or simple page, which, by the way, I think are also more efficient towards your audience, members, volunteers, or donors, etc. Sometimes an easy design is just easier to read than when you have stuff flashing and moving all around. So I think, if you have a simple, nice web template, that works well. We're approaching the end of the hour, but basically what I wanted to say is that we will make these available on the server on Saturday, Sunday. If you have some other ideas, for example, this is webinar, templates also came from some conversations with, basically with this village saying, well, we would like to have something that looked like this. And so we can add other web templates. So let us know if you have other ideas or something that would be useful for your pages, and we may add them to the library for next month. And then the other thing that I wanted to say is that we have another V2V webinar next week. So we have more time also to apply this and play with this together.
So Manuel, this is Carol in Oregon. Are we going to have the ability to use these types of elements and templates in Mail Messenger so that we can create? Is it there? Is it coming with this update?
Yes. It comes together. It's already there. So let me show you. This is demo email. And now if you create a new email message here, basically here the editor already has the web templates here in the same way.
Okay, wonderful.
Now you probably want to be a little careful, probably, because that's interesting. Yeah, because when you send an email, right, there is not you cannot do includes, right? Because it's different thing. Like so you just it copies the code. The code of the email needs to be inside the email, right? So so I was wondering if we had the copy and include, and we don't, which is the right thing to do. Just only have include. So basically here, if you want to create your email and you add your, basically the first thing I would do is that here, if I want to add the header here, you will be able to do this, insert template, not the footer, header, and then save. And then if you want to add the footer there, insert template, footer, save. And then if you want to add the other ones too, the same thing, insert template, 3 columns with pictures. Now let me add this one, pick left, pick right. Boom. Okay, I added it here. And then here you can change the image. Oh, basically, wait, save. And now your email looks like this. And then basically you can come here and replace the image with the image you want, right? And then you can come here and say, we are, this person, change this text to whatever you need in your email. We are tired of seeing Manuel. Mom. Yes.
Manuel, can these templates be cloned?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It's a good question. You can clone them, leave the originals that we give you there, and then have your own and play with them. That works perfectly fine. It's a good question. Perfect. I think that's it. Do we have any other questions? We are not going to extend the meeting too much, but if there is one more question, I'm happy to take it. And if there are other questions, yeah, please come see us at the webinar next week. Same time, 2 p.m. You need to register on the Village to Village network. Is there one more question? One last question? No. Okay. Well, so that's great. If we have questions that can wait 1 week, it's perfect. This has been a wonderful webinar we have done together. We will send more information your way and we'll deploy to the server on Friday. And if any of you also have some feedback about the diversity initiative that we were announcing before, please feel free also to email me personally on my email address, because as I was telling you before, it's like it's a little, I mean, I think it's the right thing to do, but it's also something that is a little heavy on me. So I appreciate having your feedback and what you think on this topic. That is a heavy topic that I'm not an expert on, but I think there is, we need to do something about it too. Perfect. Okay. Thank you, everybody. It was good seeing you, and then talk to you soon.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.